Hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art and Scrap. It's almost Monday. Let's create. This is a little bit of a different Sunday night for us at our house because my one and only child that that goes to school has a PD day tomorrow. So we're not exactly feeling like tomorrow is a Monday. We're feeling like tomorrow is Sunday part 2. But that's okay because it was a busy weekend. On Saturday, my daughter had her annual ceremonial review with her Air Cadet Squadron, and my son is a civilian volunteer with the organization, and so they were busy all day Saturday. So an extra day to kind of recuperate is good because it's been busy getting ready for that. So we are going to be looking at a layout this evening. Good evening, Joanne. Nice to see you're watching. And we're going to be using some of the papers and embellishments from the Hello Darlin collection that we've been looking at. And that is the featured collection for the month of June, which is exciting. We get to play with it all month long. And we are going to be starting out with a plain piece of white daisy cardstock. So I've got my piece of white daisy here, and I've added a tiny little bit of adhesive just in the center so that I can stick it down to my Versamat, and hopefully it won't shift around. Oh, before I do that, I want to show you something. One of the embellishments that I want to create for this layout, and I've already created one of them, but I want another one, is a rosette. And it's a little bit dimensional. I've tried to keep it as low profile as I can possibly make it. But I need to show you that first because it needs time to sit and glue itself together. So I'm starting out with a piece of this pattern paper from the Hello Darlin collection. And it's a gorgeous cranberry candy apple red with little white stars on it. And this piece is 3/4 of an inch by 7 1/4 inches. And I'm going to just put it here on my Versamat because I need to do some scoring. And to try and, if you don't know if you've ever made a rosette before, but to try and keep my rosette as low profile as possible, I am going to be scoring it every 1/8 of an inch. So if you have a scoreboard, that makes it quite easy. I'm doing it on my Versamat, so I'm going to have to be careful. So I'm going to be scoring at every 1/8 of an inch. And so I'm going to actually score the 1/4 inch mark, and then I'm going to move it over and do the 1/8, which is halfway between each of the 1/4 marks. So I'm just going to work my way across this 7 1/2 inch length. If you're popping on to watch, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can just say replay. Now, one thing that I notice as I score many times like this, you will see my paper is starting to come down on the right because I'm pulling it with my bone folder. So every so often, I need to just kind of straighten it up. You won't have quite that same effect when you are working with a scoreboard, but it happens with me, and I try to keep the palm or the heel of my hand resting on the paper that's to the left to try and anchor it a bit. And sometimes I even put my baby finger on this one to kind of hold it in place, just because I'm scoring it so many times. So we're doing every 1/8 of an inch. So I'm moving over 1/4 of an inch and then backtracking an 1/8 of an inch all the way across, trying to do it as evenly as possible, but I'm sure it's going to be a little bit here and there, and that's okay. I can live with that. Now the other one of these that I made, let me bring it in so you can see what we're making. We're making a rosette for an embellishment. The other one I made with lost my breath for a second. Sapphire cardstock. And so you can see the little 1/8 inch score lines. Makes a very low profile rosette. Now I did add an acrylic piece from the Hello Darlin acrylic pieces onto the front of it to hide the hole in the center, which bulked it up a little bit. But you don't have to do that. You can add something else, which I'm going to add for this other one. I'm going to add something that's even low profile again. Hey, Heather, nice to see you're watching. And Robin's here too. Hello, good evening. I've got a piece of 7 1/4 inch pattern paper here that's 3/4 of an inch wide, and I'm scoring it every 1/8 of an inch. Now, this particular embellishment takes a few moments to create. So it's not something that you would necessarily make 50 of unless you were really into rosettes, but it's kind of a fun little technique to know, and they're really kind of pretty on cards. But again, you would pick a special card to put it on and not just, every card you make. But it's nice to know how to make them, because you can purchase already pre-made rosettes, but they tend to be a little bit pricey. So if you know how to make it, you can use matching pattern paper or cardstock and create your own. So again, I'm just scoring every 1/8 of an inch. So every quarter line, and then in between every quarter line gets me that 1/8 all the way across. Trying not to let my, oops, there we are right at the very end. Trying not to let my paper go wonky. So now that we've done that, now we need to accordion fold all of these little things. And if you're like me and you've got fingernails, I find using my fingernail to kind of push on that score line is the easiest way. And sometimes I even flip it over so that I can push from the back side along the score line, because it is very tiny. It's a very tiny score line. And because I'm not using a scoreboard, it's not as accentuated as it normally would be. So this takes a hot minute to go all the way across. So how's everybody been doing this weekend? What you been up to? It wasn't too smoky in Brampton this weekend, which was nice. We weren't feeling the effects of the fires. I haven't even checked an update to see how everything's going around. How are things up where you are, Robin? You're farther north. You might be still feeling all those effects. I know there's some that are around your parts. Heather, you caught up on housework. You want to come to my house and do some too? Actually, I was doing some housework this past week. I was trying to organize my kitchen a bit. So I did get some accomplished, but there's always more housework to be done, is there not? Tomorrow, I think I need to do laundry. Which would be helpful. People don't particularly enjoy other people walking around with no clothes on. Or dirty clothes this time of year especially. All right. We're just working our way across. And like I said, it does take a minute because there's lots of little folds. I didn't count how many, but there's 8 per inch. And we had 7 1/4 inches. So if anybody's good at math and can do 7 times 8 plus 2 more, 7 times 7 is 49, I think. So 56, 57, 58 little folds to do. So it takes a minute. So this is one of those things that you can do when you're watching a TV show, when you're watching crafting videos, when you're watching a movie, sitting outside on the deck, all those fun things. Some of these are crooked, I can tell, but that's okay. They will get there. And you'll see here as I go along that some of these have flattened out, but that's okay because paper has a memory. So when I come back to them, see how they all kind of scrunch up into the little accordion, even though I've kind of pushed them flat again. It's all good because there's only so many of them you can keep track of. Aren't you glad I didn't make you watch me make 2 of these? Joanne is cleaning the trailer for July camping. That sounds like fun. like fun. Are you going far away camping or close to home camping? We haven't done trailer camping, but we used to do tent camping. We have two 12-man tents. Or at least a 12-man tent and a 10-man tent. I don't know. When Julia was getting ready for her field training with cadets, they pulled a 10-man tent out of the basement. And I didn't remember having a 10-man tent. So maybe maybe we have a 12-man and a 10-man, not two 12-man. My memory is not great either. All right. We're getting there. We're more than halfway there. If you've been counting how many folds, we're getting there. There we go. I hope my math was right. Was that right? 7 times 7 is 49. I'm not good with math. When I was in school, I was good in reading and English. And so in grade 5, I used to tutor a kid that was in grade 2. And it always happened during math class. So I missed most of grade 5 math. And then when I was in grade 8, I tutored them as well. And so I missed most of grade 8 math. So there's a couple of years of math. So I still count on my fingers, and I haven't learned all my times tables, and thank goodness for calculators. But I can do algebra, and I can do geometry, and calculus, all those weird things that you learn in high school, because I took math all the way through high school, because I'm a sucker for punishment. And, Joanne says she's going camping about an hour away. That's not bad. That's pretty good. Sometimes when you go camping and you're a little bit closer to home, it feels a little bit less, I don't know how you would describe it. But you kind of know, okay, if I run out of something, I know where to get it. You're not kind of out of your depth of where to go and where to find things. One of our camping trips, we had to go buy a tarp because it rained every day. And we probably would have been okay without the tarp, but my husband went and got a tarp. But because we were camping fairly close, we weren't confused about where to go. We just went ahead, found a crappy tire, and off we went. Alrighty. Doreen says, relaxing after the family picnic yesterday. Oh, fun! My husband's grandmother's family used to always have like a big family picnic. Went to it a couple times, but they don't do it anymore. It's one of those things because all the older family members are either gone or not able to plan such things, and the younger ones, I guess, just weren't interested in carrying it on. It's kind of a hop, skip, and a jump from me, so I wasn't going to be the person to step in to plan it, I guess. So I can't complain about it. But family picnics are fun. That's super exciting. I hope you took lots of pictures so we can see. I'm on my very last one, and my thumb has gone numb. And so I'm having a hard time folding it. There we go. Okay. Aren't you glad you tuned in today to watch me fold an itty-bitty piece of paper all the way across? Now I'm just crinkling it back up so we get the zigzag all the way across. All those many little folds. Okay, it'll all be good. Just gonna get some feeling back in my thumb. Gotta love carpal tunnel. I'm scanning my table because I'm not sure what I did with my glue, but now I found it. Okay, so when you take your crinkled up piece of paper, you're gonna wrap it around so that the first little mountain fold will go right inside the last little mountain fold. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but you see how we've got a mountain fold and a mountain fold? I'll try to hold it still and see if the camera will focus. Moving it back, and then it's going to tuck right inside like that. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to put some adhesive on this mountain fold here and make sure it's stuck down. And this works for any size of rosette. If you wanted to make a great big 1 foot wide rosette to dangle from your ceiling for a party, this would be the same procedure. And then I'm going to take this side and I'm going to stick it on that gluey adhesive like so. And give it a squeeze. Make it stick together. It's hard when it's so tiny. It'd be easier actually to demonstrate this on a larger piece. But, you know, this is where we are. Now, the side that I want showing on my finished rosette is this red with the white stars. The back side is a gorgeous plaid, but I want the red with the white stars. So I'm actually going to set it down on the side like this. And I have just roughly chopped out a circle. And it's going to be smaller than the finished rosette. Okay, so it needs to be big enough so that all the little folds can touch it. I've added some adhesive to the back. I'm going to peel off the backing on here. But we need more than just that. Okay, because what's going to be touching this little circle is just little ridges. So we need some sticky tape, but I'm also going to use some liquid glass if it'll come out. I was using it earlier, so hopefully it's still flowing. Because you need some liquid glue because it's going to get in the nooks and crannies of those folds. So there, we've got some liquid glue on here. We've got it all prepped, ready, sitting there waiting. Put the lid back on. The liquid glass, which is great adhesive. And then what I'm going to do is I want my red to be showing. So this is going on the back side. So I'm going to push. I should have actually done it the other way. I should have my plaid on the outside and my red on the inside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of push these little folds all the way to the center and then push them down towards my table so that the outside comes out. You might need to kind of force it to do that. And so you should have all your little folds. It looks like somebody dropped a kilt on my Versamat. A teeny tiny little kilt. Did you guys ever read The Borrowers? And then what you want to do is you want to slowly push all the edges towards the center. So the hole in the center, hopefully you can see that, gets smaller and smaller till it gets as small as it can get. And then you're going to come over here, pick up your circle, and you're going to stick it down on here. And before everything sticks, you're going to make sure that all your little edges are pushed in, and you need to use like all your fingers for this. And then just give it a minute for the adhesive to kind of grab. It's a little bit tedious making these, but it's a cool effect. Now, if we flip it over, you can kind of readjust and make sure that that hole in the center is as small as it can be with your fan going all the way around your rosette. Now, for the next step, I like to use a glue dot for this because they're really good and sticky, and it's going to hold everything together as well as hold on the thing that I'm going to put in the middle. Now, this is a larger glue dot. This is a medium size kind of glue dot. I'm going to push everything towards the center again. Make sure that small hole in the center is as small as I can get it. Stick my glue dot on there. This also works really well with hot glue, as long as you don't stick your fingers in it. And then once we've got that glue dot in there, it kind of holds everything together. But give it another push and then put whatever embellishment you're going to use in the center on top. You can use a button. You can use a gem. I'm using one of the blue die cuts from this collection. And because it's got that glue dot under there, it's going to kind of hold everything. But we still don't want to put too much stress on it. So the best thing to do is to keep your finger there until all the glue dries. Yeah, that'll be fun. Or you take something that's heavy enough to act as a finger and stick that on top. And so I've got this, and you can kind of balance it on there, and that's acting like a finger. So if you've ever wondered, I wish I had an extra hand, just use a stamp block. That'll be your extra hand. So I'm going to scooch this off to the side. like so, and stick my extra finger back on there. And while that's drying, we're going to be working on our layout. So now I'm going to bring back in my 12 by 12 piece of white daisy. Oh, I already took a little bit of adhesive backing off. And stick it down to my Versamat so it doesn't shift around. Doreen took a couple of pictures. Awesome. Hello, Ellie. So now the first piece of paper that we want to put on there is this gorgeous stripe. And you will see why when you see the photo, because this is kind of a nautical photo that I'm using. And so I want to go with this stripy pattern, which just makes me think of beach chairs and sailing boats and all that kind of fun stuff. And so this piece, I had actually already cut 1/4 inch off of it because I needed a little 1/4 inch strip of it for a layout we did during the crop. And so it was already 11 3/4 one direction. So I trimmed it 11 3/4 the other direction. And then I used a ruler and a X-Acto blade to cut it from diagonally from corner to corner. And I had to use my ruler and X-Acto blade because this length here is probably not going to fit in very many paper trimmers. It's a lot bigger than 12 inches. It's more like 16 inches. And my paper trimmer is a little bit larger than some, but it does not do 16 inch. It'll do 14. So what we have left now, because we started out with 11 3/4, we can add this triangle to the corner of our page and have a bit of the white showing all the way around, which I think is really cool. Like if you've ever looked at sailing flags and things, they tend to have a border around them. So I thought, you know what, I'll go with that. It's kind of a nice style to it. So I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive to this. Oops. And if you're working with a full piece of paper and you cut it on the diagonal like this, it makes it very easy to make a matching layout and turn it into a 2-page layout. Now, I was working with not exactly a full piece of paper, and I also needed some more of this particular pattern for this layout. So I don't really have a second triangle to use for a second layout or a second page to match this one. However, I know I have more photos from the day that my picture is from. And so even if I don't do a matching second page, I can do one with some cardstock and some of the motifs. And even if it doesn't have the same angle going on it, it doesn't matter. It'll still look good together. I can even add Memory Protector Plus page that has, the 3 pockets to add extra photos and things. So that's a great different options that you can do when you want to take it from a single page layout to a 2-page layout. I found when I'm doing videos, I do a lot of single page layouts because it's just easier for you to see if I don't have the camera raised up so high to get 2 pages in. This gives you a nicer, closer look at things and to be able to see what's going on, right? So what I want to do next is I'm going to show you the photo I'm working with. And it's this one of my son Joshua, and he's out on a yacht type boat. And it was kind of funny. We were at my husband's goddaughter's confirmation party, and they were having it at like a yacht club. And the kids were outside for a little while, just kind of letting off some steam, jumping around in the grass a bit. And one of the gentlemen that was just sitting on his boat nearby said, "Hey, did the kids want to come on and check out the boat?" And so all the kids got their picture. It's just, it's tied up to the dock. I don't know if it's called dock when it's a yacht, but it's tied up in the harbor there. So they're not actually sailing, but they all got their pictures with the wheel and they sat on the seats, and that was very kind of the gentleman to do. Now, this is an odd-sized photo that I'm working with. It is 3 1/8 by 4 1/2. So it's kind of a funny size. And so I'm going to add a little bit of matting around it. And I've cut it just 1/8 inch bigger than my size of my photo. And I thought the red kind of stood out nice, and it's carried on from here. So let me go ahead and add some adhesive on here and stick it down. And when I was thinking about this photo, I actually almost flipped it, because he's kind of looking one direction, and I had thought about having the photo over here. But when the photo's over here, he's actually looking off the page. And so I've changed my mind. I'm putting the photo over here. So he's actually kind of looking sort of out this way. And so he's not looking off the page. And I couldn't flip it because he has a number on his hoodie. So it was noticeable that I would have flipped the picture. And so I think it's just better to have the photo over here. Plus, it's pulling your eye away from the stripes. The stripes are all kind of pointing towards the photo. So that's a fun little technique there. But I just don't want to have it floating there. I want to add something to anchor it. And so I've got a piece, again, of the candy apple. And this has been cut to 6 5/8 by 5 1/8. And then the pattern paper, which was the back side of the stripe. And it's this really fun one that to me looks like a quilt. But the colors looked nice with the water that was in the background here. And so this is just a little bit less. It's 6.5 by 5. So I'm going to layer those two up. And stick them together. And the red is just that 1/8 inch difference, just like on the photo mat. Hopefully I get it layered up straight and tidy. There we go. And then I'm going to add my photo onto this. We're doing layers upon layers here, which kind of creates a nice frame for everything. Layers upon layers. And then I'm going to line this up on here, and it's really kind of fun because you can use the pattern to help you get everything straight. And then we can add this on. And I should be avoiding putting adhesive near the edge, and I went and put adhesive near that edge because I know I'm tucking some things under, but I think I'll be okay. We're not going to tuck too far. Now I want to have this down a little bit, kind of centered, and I can even use the lines in my pattern paper to help me get it straight. Look at that. Lines right up along those little tiny stripy lines. I love the mix between these two patterns. One is very diagonal, and this one actually has straight lines to it, but it's broken up by all these little starbursts. And you're going to see how that comes into play with some of the embellishments too, like the rosettes. Now, for the title, I wanted to bring in some of the die cuts, as well as some stickers. So on the sticker sheet, we have a few more stickers left. And one of them that I thought would be kind of cool because he's on a yacht would be The Good Life. And so I'm going to peel that one off. And this one's going to go right on here. Maybe not exactly centered, but down a little bit from the top. Even though it's a banner, we can do that. It's okay. It's allowed. And then I also want to add Hot Summer Days onto here. Even though it was a little bit early in the summer, I thought it would be nice to add on here. I'm actually thinking I'll add it up here, right along the edge. Hot Summer Days, The Good Life. And then down across the bottom, I have some of the die cuts from the die cut collection. It comes with navy die cuts and red acrylics. And so there's a set of these little banners. I'll just park it there so you can see it. And they spell out the word smile, and it's kind of tongue in cheek because Joshua has a tendency to not smile in photos. And he always has this very serious look when he knows he's, from a young age, like baby all the way up till now. He puts a very serious look on his face, and it takes a lot to get him to crack your grin when you're trying to take a photo. Now, I actually want to line these up along here, but I don't like what's happening with the cutout of the word. So my solution for that is I've got some silver glitter paper, and I'm going to glue my banner onto the silver glitter paper. And the reason I chose the silver glitter paper is because if you look at the photo, the little tiny waves in the water behind Joshua there are kind of sparkling. At least to me, they look sparkling. So I'm adding liquid glue, and a good amount of liquid glue to here. And then I'm going to line it up on the glitter paper like so. So I wanted to kind of pick up on that sparkly goodness from the water. And I'm going to let that sit for just a minute, because you need to use liquid glue when you're working with glitter paper, because the texture of it, you need to get that glue down into all the nubbly bits for it to really get a good seal. So now you can see what it looks like with those glittery letters on there. Doesn't that look beautiful with the sparkly water? So once this is dried, and of course this has not dried because it's only been half a minute, you can go ahead and just trim these out. I could have cut the glitter paper smaller and added it on, but I really don't mind if a tiny little bit of glitter sneaks out around the edges. That doesn't bother me. And so I'm just going to trim it off by hand. And I'm not going to stick these down yet, because I want to add my other embellishments and then make sure I've got them in the right spot. So we're just going to set them there for now. So the other thing that I did in preparation is I did some fussy cutting, and no, it's not flowers. It is some of these from the pattern paper. Now, there is a stamp set. The card making stamp set for this collection has these fun motifs in them, but I went ahead and got the pattern paper. The opposite side of this pattern paper is the gorgeous floral, and I had been cutting out a lot of the florals, so I decided, as I keep bringing them in here, to cut out some of these fun little starbursty patterns, and then combine them with some of the die cuts and the acrylics. So let me just park those all on there. And what I want to do is I want to create a little cluster up here and a little cluster down here. And when I was looking at these, I thought they're really nice, but there's not something that kind of goes, woo, look at that. And sometimes with an embellishment, you want a little, woo, look at that. So that is why I created the rosettes, because that really kind of makes it go, whoo, look at that. See what I'm getting at? And so we're going to start by adding this big rosette up in the top corner. And I'm actually going to use a glue dot for that because it's quick and easy. And we'll stick it down good. You can tell I did not get my circle centered on this one, but it's okay. It still keeps it on there. And I also didn't center this acrylic piece very well. I'm going to see if I can adjust it. It's held on with a glue dot, so I can kind of squizzle it around a bit. And I want it to kind of overlap my photo, which is perfectly fine, because that's just, you know, a bit of water up there. We're not chopping off his head or anything. And then I just want to tuck in all these other little embellishments. Now, some of them, as you can see, have been trimmed off the edge of the paper, and that's perfectly okay. You can't always get a perfectly trimmed circular thing, but we're going to do this. Choop. We're going to just pop it right under the edge of our matting there, and you don't even know that it's not got a circular edge. We're going to do the same thing with this one. We're just going to whoop, pop that under there like that. Easy peasy. And then we're just going to keep adding these on here, create a bit of a cluster like so. I like that they're different sizes, different colors, different shapes. Adds a lot of pattern with these, for sure. And then this one is also a half one, but that's okay, because look, we can just tuck it in there like that. No problem. All right, let's add this little guy. We'll even kind of overlap that one. Let's add this one. Like there. We'll kind of spread him out so he's not overlapping. And then this last little one, you know what? I should actually use a little glue dot for this one. Let me grab. I find with the acrylics, glue dots seem to be the thing. And so these are the tiny little glue dots. Teensy tiny. I'm going to actually stick this one on the edge of the mat like that. Okay, now let's move down here, and we have our other rosette that makes her go, whoo, look at that. And we're going to pop that down on this corner. So we're doing opposite corners, which is kind of like mirroring, just like our triangles. You know, we have a white triangle and a stripy triangle. We've got a blue one. Now we've got a red one. But this one is solid. This one's patterned. This one's got a red acrylic. This one's got a paper. So it's different, but it's also similar. And this one I'm actually going to kind of come up the side a little bit, I think, and stick it on there. Now let me grab a glue dot for this one. I like these glue dots because they come with a little backing plastic. Oh, I didn't get that one in the center either. Apparently I don't get any of them in the center. But it's okay because you don't see the back side. There we go. We're going to come a little bit up the side like that. And then we can add in this little guy over here. I like using liquid glue when I add little flowers and things because it just makes life a little bit easier. Let's add this little guy down here like that. And then maybe this big starbursty. We'll add him in here, kind of overlapping, but more on the lighter color part of the pattern than on the dark blue stripe. And then let's add this little guy over here maybe. And now we need to add on our smile. So I'm going to just go ahead and use liquid glue for this because that's what we're working with right now. And I'm going to add it so that my red matting is still showing. Like that. All the way across. How's it looking out there? Are we liking what we're seeing? It's definitely got that nautical feel, doesn't it? The other thing I like about these circles is that they kind of play up on the circle of the big wheel here. So we're kind of pulling that circular image around on the page, even though the other parts of the page are very linear. We're kind of picking up on that circle. Smile! Our little inside joke. Joshua doesn't really smile. When he does smile, he has a really good smile. It's just hard to get it on camera. And there we go. And I even like those little bits of the glitter showing through. And then I also wanted to bring in another sticker. So from down here, we've got the best. So I thought it would be kind of cute to say the best smile. So we're just going to line that up right along the matting and have it overhang and add a little bit of outside the triangle. And let me see if there was anything else. I think that might be everything. The only thing I had thought was maybe adding a heart on here. Yeah, that looks kind of cute. Just trying to decide if I want to mat it. We did that the other day with some of the hearts. and it had a nice effect. So let me grab a piece of scrap. And yes, I think the blue, and then, you know what? There's one more heart on here. Let me grab it. We might as well do both of them. Have a pair of hearts. That could be something in a card game, wouldn't it be? A pair of hearts. Oh no, the power's gone out. Oh gosh. Hey Kimberly, nice to see you're watching. Happy Sunday. And so we're just gonna fussy cut. We got to fussy cut out our flags. We got to fussy cut out a heart. Yay. All the way around. I think these are my older scissors. I can hear a little squeak in them. Can you hear that? A little squeak. I've had these for many, many, many years. And they still cut beautifully. But there's a little squeak in the handle. I don't know about you, but my joints make funny noises the older I get. So I couldn't expect anything else from my scissors. There we go. And I did notice that there's something odd here. There's like a weird sharp angle on the top of my heart. I might have just made two weird sharp angles. Okay, now that we've got a couple little hearts, let's see what we're going to do with these. Are we going to keep them together? Are we going to put them in two different places? Oh, that's kind of cute. Kind of cute. We could add, no, not there. Sometimes when you put something in place, then you're just like, yeah, no. No, I think I like it one on either side like that. We've kind of got our two rosettes like this on either side of our matting, and now we've got our two little hearts on either side there, and I kind of like that. So let's go ahead and stick them down. I think that extra little rim of the dark color, especially when you've got it on pattern paper, really helps. We found that with the layout the other day, that adding, I think we added a rim of black around them. I think it was black. Was either black or blue. Black and blue. And it really helps set it off. There we go. The good life. And that is our layout completed. I can add some journaling on here. And again, like I said, I can add a second layout onto this. Now I can just lift it up. There we go. And so we started out with just our plain white daisy cardstock. We added a great big triangle of the striped paper, leaving that little 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Then adding on our layers upon layers of matting with the candy apple cardstock and the pattern paper and the photo of Joshua on the friendly the friendly yachter's boat. And then adding in some stickers, some of the die cuts, and some fussy cut pieces from the pattern paper, as well as those fun rosettes that we showed how to make, keeping them as low profile as we can. So let me just show you this one. So it's about 1/8 of an inch, so it's not too bulky. Now the other one is a little bit bulkier because of that acrylic piece that I added on top. But again, we could have put something else, but I like the look of that. Kind of gives it the opposite of what's happening over here. So there we go. That is our completed layout. Hot summer days, the good life, the best smile. I hope you enjoyed seeing that come together and how to create those rosettes and working on our clustering. All right, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you again soon. Toodaloo!